You're listening to the Build Your Wealth podcast, episode number 36. Deciding on what to do first, next, and then after that can be overwhelming and can even sometimes stop you in your tracks. On today's show, I'm going to be talking about what to do when you get behind the eight ball, so stay tuned. Ugh. It's that time of day again. Time to get up and make someone else rich. Hi there and welcome to the Build Your Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Thompson. Over the years, I've taken the skills I've learned as a dedicated employee in multiple fields and turned it into a thriving six-figure online business to create a wealth of my own. Now I'm here to teach you how to do the same thing. I share my successes and failures as an online business owner with you to help you avoid the pitfalls that can come with being an entrepreneur in the online space. It's my goal to help you achieve your success faster, adopt the right mindset for that success, and to show you how failing forward is all part of the process in building your wealth instead of someone else's. This is the Build Your Wealth podcast. Well, hello again. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Nicole Thompson, and today's topic hits home for me big time this week. When I first started my business, it never really occurred to me that it would get to the point that I wouldn't have enough time to do everything that needed to be done. Because when you're first starting out, it seems like there's a lot of things that are optional. But once you start to build more momentum, those optional things tend to become necessary, and all of a sudden you have more things to do than you have time for. Did you ever have one of those weeks where no matter what you do, it seems like you just can't get caught up? Not to put too fine a point on it, but that has been my week in a nutshell. It's been an unbelievably busy week for my web store. I've had a kitty with a cold, a bulldog with a limp, and a personal doctor's appointment to top everything else off. And all of this happens, of course, while my hubby is away on business. So when it rains, it pours, doesn't it? Now, in general, none of these things are hard to deal with by themselves. I mean, I felt bad for my puppy and kitty, and I didn't want to go to the doctor myself. Plus, I never ever want to complain about business being busy. I mean, that's a great thing. So everything had to be dealt with, and much of it felt as though it needed to be dealt with immediately. But in truth, there's typically always one thing on the list that will take precedence over the next. Sometimes you just have to slow down in order to be able to speed up. And of course, I was able to get it all done, but I definitely feel like I was panting and sweating as I slid over the finish line at the end of the week, and I was very, very ready for my glass of red wine on Friday night. But what it all boils down to is the fact that being one person, you can literally only be doing one thing at a time. Because multitasking is a straight up lie we tell ourselves that only opens us up to making mistakes and actually getting less done. So this week has been a crazy one for me. But I did get through it by simply slowing down, assessing what had to be done immediately, and then just figuring out when I could tackle the next thing on the list. I'm positive you'll certainly run into times like this, but to really gain success in your new business, the best advice I can give you when figuring out what to do first to make the most progress in your business, when you have a million great ideas, is to pick one goal and go all in on that one goal. By focusing all your energy in one specific direction, you can achieve your goals so much faster than if you're trying to do 1,000 things in all these different directions all at the same time. So imagine if you were trying to chop down a tree. If you took your axe and you hit at this one spot a couple of times, and then you moved around to the other side of the tree and you hacked at that spot for a couple of minutes, and then you moved up a little bit further on the tree and a little bit higher and you chopped at that spot for a little bit, and you keep moving from side to side and up and down and all over, never truly focusing on one spot, well, sure, eventually that tree is going to fall down. But if you just focus every swing of that axe to the same exact spot every time, that tree would come down so much faster and without all that extra unnecessary effort. It can be extremely fun to say you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur. And there's nothing wrong with having a lot going on. But if you're splitting your attention between all these different things, all you're doing is slowing down your progress. There is a great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller that helps narrow down exactly what you should be focusing on to get the best results when aiming for achieving your goals. I highly recommend this book to every entrepreneur as a must read. I'll put a link to it in the show notes section too. I know when first starting out as a business owner, it's extremely easy to want to go in a million different directions. And part of that comes from not knowing exactly what's going to work. But I can tell you with 100% certainty that if you work at one thing long enough and hard enough every single day, without giving up, without quit, and with the utmost consistency, you will be successful. It's when we split our focus and spread ourselves too thin that our success falters. So pick one goal and give it everything you've got, and success will be sure to follow. If you've been thinking about starting your own business, but you don't know where to begin or how to get started, then I invite you to sign up for my free 5-part video series workshop that I'll be opening for enrollment shortly. To save your seat now, go to NicoleThompsonNow.com/video workshop to get notified when the series goes live. I hope that you'll join me there. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you'll join me next week for another all-new episode of the Build Your Wealth podcast. I'll see you then. You've been listening to the Build Your Wealth podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing to the show. I've included any links to specifics mentioned in the show notes section below so you can easily grab them there. I hope you'll consider leaving a review for me and let me know what you thought about the show, and if it helped you or resonated with you in some way, I'd love to hear about that too. Thanks again, and I'll see you over on the next episode to your success.